Hello, welcome to my video. In this video I'm going to tell you about a phenomenon that has recently emerged out of nowhere and has become addictive, the selfie. Simply taking a picture of yourself. You all know what it is. Because the interesting thing is that this word came out of nowhere and became accepted worldwide. Selfie is taking a photo of one's own image. We know someone else who is a bit too obsessed with the reflection of his own image. He's from Greek mythology Narcissus, and it's actually a story related to the selfie, so it's related to narcissism. I'll get to that later, but let's take it back a bit further, shall we? Let's go back to the history of photography. The word photography was first used by the French librarian Sir John Herschel in 1839. Herschel combined the Latin words photo and graphine, and the word photographo, which means to draw with light, became a word accepted all over the world. Technology has improved tremendously since then, but the meaning of the word is still valid because light is still needed for photography. The camera obscura, the dark box, which is the basis of the camera, which is one of the most necessary tools for taking photographs, was first invented by the Arab scientist, optician and mathematician Ibn al-Hazan in the 10th century. When a small hole was punched in one wall of a dark room, the image of the object outside would fall inverted on the wall inside. In the following centuries, in the 1420s, the architect, sculptor and mathematician Filippo Brunelleschi used the same system to draw the image formed in a large dark room and worked on the correct use of perspective. In 1550, optics were installed in this box to make the image clearer, and the first bright clear images were obtained with the development of lenses. This system was used as an important auxiliary tool by painters for many years. The real photography begins in the early 19th century with the French physicist Joseph Nicephore Niepce. In 1826, Niepce became the first person to obtain permanent images through chemical processes. In 1840, the Englishman William Henry Fox Talbot developed the image on sensitive paper and subsequent developing processes. This invention, which Louis Daguerre called the daguerreotype, consisted of light-sensitized metal sheets that could be placed inside the camera. Thanks to these plates, the duration of photography was reduced from 8 hours to 3 minutes. The collodion method, invented by the British inventor Frederick Scott Archer in 1851 and enabling the production of glass negatives, is the basis of modern photography. In 1878, Edward Muybridge's famous photograph showed what a galloping horse really looked like, proving the inability of the human eye to study moving things. The making of this photograph paved the way for cinema. By 1947, Edwin Land had developed the Polaroid photography system. In this system, a positive photo could be taken about 1 minute after shooting. The first easy-to-carry camera was produced by George Eastman Kodak in 1928. Mass production enabled the camera to reach a wider audience. In 1935, the Kodak company invented the first color film, Kodachrome, and color photography began. The inventions after the invention of color photography were mostly on camera technique. Large-sized mechanical cameras gradually became smaller, more functional and electronic. Until recently, digital cameras were experiencing their golden age, until the development of cell phone camera systems. Especially the selfie, the subject of this video, played an important role in ending the era of digital cameras. At first, cell phone cameras were quite basic and offered low resolution, but people loved taking pictures with their cell phones, and also taking pictures of themselves with them, so much that phone cameras evolved to incredible heights in a short period of time. And nowadays, phone manufacturers primarily promise users a front camera resolution of considerable quality. All of this has happened because of this simple phenomenon. Hold the phone in your hand, look at the camera, and take a picture of yourself. This seemingly simple behavior has shaped technology, so to speak. Today, a phone brand that can no longer provide a good front camera experience has no chance to compete in the market. Of course, it's not that simple. Some events cause some things, but then it can evolve in different ways. It can be used in different areas. At the moment, the only function of the front camera is not selfie. There are many uses for it, from facial recognition systems to video calls, and its use in many social media applications. But remember, it all started with this strange-looking gesture. You are looking at the first known photograph in history, a photograph from 1826 looking out of a window at Le Gras. The photographer Nicephore Niepce waited 8 hours for the view to appear on the photographic plate. This photograph of Temple Avenue, taken by Louis Daguerre in early 1839, is the first photograph of a person. It is a photograph of a crowded street. But because the shooting time was more than 10 minutes, the flow of traffic was too fast to appear in the photograph. The only exception is the man in the lower left corner, who had his shoes polished long enough to be seen in the photo. Looking at these photos is like time travel. None of us who are alive now were on Earth when these photos were taken. You all remember this photo, right? This photo was taken on March 2, 2014 during the 86th Academy Awards. This photo played an important role in popularizing the selfie around the world. Many think that this is the first selfie, but in fact the selfie has a much older history than you might think. In 2017, Paris Hilton shared a photo saying, "11 years ago today, Britney and I invented the selfie." After this photo, of course, the answers started to come one after another. George Harrison, guitarist of the Beatles, showed a selfie he took at the Taj Mahal in 1966 as an answer. The selfie taken by astronaut Edwin Buzz Aldrin Jr. in November 1966 went down in history as the first selfie taken in space. While these selfies, which were taken before social media existed, were the answer to Paris Hilton, things started to go to the top. Boom! Frank Sinatra selfie, 1938. Then came another missile from the New York City Museum, Byron Company, Uncle Joe Byron, Peary MacDonald, Colonel Marceau, Popcore, a selfie taken by Ben Folk in New York, 1920. William Davis Hassler, 2 self-portraits with and without hats, 1917. While social media has been bashing Paris Hilton in this way, it's hard to believe that for the first selfie, we had to go back 184 years before the present day. This photo taken by Robert Cornelius, a resident of Philadelphia, USA, outside a lamp store in 1839 is estimated to be the first selfie in history. We can clearly see the expression of, "I wonder if the photo came out," on his face. God knows how many minutes he waited in front of the lens with the technology of that time. As a bonus, we should not forget this legend. A selfie taken in 2001 by a monkey. Naruto, a macaque monkey in the forests of Indonesia, took the camera of photographer David Slater in 2011 and took his own photo in this way. This photo has an interesting story. David Slater, a nature photographer, went to Indonesia in 2011 to photograph a group of monkeys, leaving his camera on a tripod in the open, while one of the monkeys approached the camera and took a photo of himself. These photos, which Slater published under the name Monkey Selfie, attracted a lot of attention on the internet, and events began when the photo was used on Wikimedia Commons. The incident turns into a lawsuit called Monkey Selfie Copyright Dispute. Slater claims that he owns the copyright to the photo and demands that it be removed from the site. However, Wikimedia rejected the request, saying that it was not Slater who took the photo but the monkey itself. In 2015, PETA, the animal rights organization People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, sued the photographer on behalf of the monkey. PETA argued that the photo was taken by the monkey and demanded that the monkey be given the copyright to the photo. The trial judge dismissed the lawsuit, saying that even if the monkey had taken the photographs, the lawsuit could not proceed on the grounds that monkeys are not authorized to sue for copyright infringement. PETA appeals the court's decision, but the parties later reach a settlement. A quarter of the total proceeds of the photo are donated to Indonesian macaque monkeys. However, this agreement does not affect the court's decision, and the monkey is not given the copyright to the photograph. Currently, these photographs are considered to be in the public domain as the work of a non-human animal. Photography, which is the result of technological development, emerged as a result of the scientific studies that led to its creation. Although it has been known for more than 2,000 years, it is only in the last 160 years that it has been put into practice and reached the dizzying pace of development it has today. Each study created another study that took itself one step further, and the exposure time, which was 8 hours at the beginning, has now been reduced to seconds. Since the day it came into existence, social media has been an important element in the process of people meeting each other, getting along, expressing themselves, even falling in love, harmonizing their relationships with their environment, producing their own culture and carrying this culture to future generations. Computer-aided technology and social media, which have such an impact on our lives, have naturally created changes in art branches such as art, music, photography, and cinema. One of the branches of art that was most open to technological development and most susceptible to change was photography. Photography is basically based on our very old impulses. It is an impulse that has existed since the very beginning of humanity, since cave times. Didn't we engrave the desire to leave a record of our lives on cave walls as an act of painting? The desire to be visible, which started with the paintings that the first people drew on cave walls, has somehow continued itself to the present day. People presenting their visibility and visuality by sharing photos on social media caused the use of photography in the media to change and transform, and a new era began. With the transition from analog photography to digital photography under the influence of technology, there have been changes in photography, and photography has been affected by these changes and turned into selfies. With the digital revolution, the production process of photography has completely changed, and various behaviors have emerged. With the selfie, sharing photos on social media and the way people express themselves have become different. In social media, the individual was able to create a new self by recreating and fictionalizing his/her name, gender, physical appearance, economic level, consumption habits, relationship status, marital status, education level, career information as he/she wished on social media. These formations, whether real or fictional, both social and private, have caused changes in people's lives, thought systems, and behaviors. The word selfie was chosen as one of the most used words by Time magazine in 2012 and as the word of the year in the Oxford Dictionary. In the changing and transforming world order until today, the ways of perceiving and making sense of the world have also changed and transformed. And in the reflection of these changes in art, many different movements have emerged that have brought innovations, new techniques, new meanings, and different effects to photography. With the development of communication technologies, photography has created a new visual language as images are easily reproducible and spread rapidly. Photographs have become capable of referring to different meanings, and people have acquired new behavioral patterns in society in this way. In the virtual world created by the digital age, people have exhibited different forms of behavior. Changing behavioral patterns such as egocentrism, identity construction, display of happiness, and the element of consumption have emerged, causing the content of existing rules and norms to change, new meanings to be attributed, and the values, importance, and meanings within the social order to differentiate. With these behavioral changes in social media, the individual was able to reproduce himself, herself. While the individual shapes society, society and changing technology shape the individual. Man, who invented technology, also created photography trends. Today, these trends, which man invented and created with his own hands, shape human behavior and the social structure. In 2004, with the increasing use of Facebook and Instagram in 2010 as social networking platforms, social media interaction and individual promotion on the internet gained importance. Research on the subject revealed that dimensions such as narcissism, timidity, and loneliness are effective in social media, and that there is a similarity between personality traits and behaviors on social networking sites. The most striking of these dimensions was defined as narcissism. This is related to the behaviors of people who promote themselves on social media, seek approval and attention from other users, and post selfies for this purpose. Narcissism literally means self-admiration and being in love with oneself. The origin of the word comes from Narcissus in Greek mythology, who was in love with his own appearance. People with narcissistic personalities have an excessive sense of admiration for their own bodies and images. In social networks, which are the product of a culture in which individuality is prominent, the display of photographs and the desire to be liked is a narcissistic act in a way. Social media has a structure that supports this narcissistic feeling. Today, there is hardly a person who does not have a photo of himself or herself, or does not share it, right? Are we all narcissists then? No, we are not. But there is such a feeling underneath this action we take. This feeling is like a sleeping volcanic mountain in some of us, and an active volcano in others. There is a saying I always say, the problem is quantity. A little bit of narcissism or a little bit of ego never hurt anyone, but when they are exaggerated, they become unbearable for others. The idea that people are being watched every moment on social networks, creating an admiring image of themselves by creating a virtual personality, a virtual image, is just like Narcissus falling in love with himself by seeing his opposite in the water. In social media, a person creates an identity by assuming the image of a socially flawless and valuable self. seeking positive feedback and likes from his/her followers, while at the same time creating a new image. You know that in the early days of social media, the form of expression was mostly writing, but now, writing alone is never enough. That's why we use text, photos, audio, video, in short, everything in the name of media together. When we look at social media profiles today, what do we actually see? A system where there is no need to go to much trouble to explain yourself. In other words, showing instead of telling. You enter the Instagram profile of someone you don't know at all, and without the need to read a single article, you make a character analysis only through the images he shares. Because he is already explaining himself with those photos. He shows instead of telling. Simple and effective, isn't it? It's a world that is completely virtual but full of elements that are very close to reality. Wherever you are, you can get into this world with a single click, and every action you take inside is actually an assertion of existence. We're doing pretty much the same thing as the guy painting on the cave wall. We go inside and say, "I am here." Of course, we are in this world to say much more than the man who painted on the cave wall, not just to say "I am here" or "I was here." I am smart, I am beautiful, I am handsome, I am muscular, look how helpful I am. There are tens, hundreds of pieces of personality construction like this. We cannot separate these discourses from what makes us do all these things, ego. There is a line I like from the movie Revolver about ego. Fear me or respect me, but please think that I am special. This urge to be special, to feel special, which applies to all of us, is the driving force of our social media behavior. If you are talented, someone has to see it, otherwise what good is that talent? Everything is always about others. Like I said, a little bit of ego never hurts. I think it is better to be someone who shows himself in the areas he believes he is talented, rather than being an introvert, a wimp. This will be seen as ego by many people. But we shouldn't keep our talents to ourselves just because someone might think so. By creating an image for oneself both in society and on social media, one tries to strengthen and make visible one's existing identity by saying "I am here, see, hear, and accept me." Image is a fictional image that people in a certain social position realize for certain purposes. The image is coded and equipped to achieve a certain goal in the process of fictionalization, and the measure of success is the extent to which this coding works and is successful. Here, the instrumentality of the image manifests itself. The person reveals the misleadingness of the image by emphasizing not his/her own image, but the image he/she has created by fictionalizing it. In addition to the development of technology and the use of social media, the way people, especially young people, interpret life has been an important factor in the birth of the selfie and the change in the way people behave. As people who grew up witnessing the digital age interpreted photography and the selfie, different behavioral patterns emerged in individuals. There are many reasons why people choose selfies as a way of expressing themselves. One of the most important of these reasons is the desire to be liked, which is at the core of our existence that lives self-centered. Wants to achieve results effortlessly. Consumes fast, decides how it looks and how it wants to look. The selfie photo is an expression of the society we live in. People reproduce and change both themselves and the social structure by processing and interpreting the daily information presented to them in the society they live in and the rules they find ready to establish and maintain their social relations. All these changes have affected the art of photography from history to today and led to the birth of the selfie movement. Thus, selfie supported the formation of new personality traits in people. The processes of human influencing technology and technology influencing human and society will continue as long as human beings exist. If you like my video, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to my channel. See you in my next video, take care and goodbye.